I think it's fantastic. Avi and I have a pre-show before the actual show, but we're gonna go ahead and start, my man. It's as goes Israel, so goes the world, with none other than the founder of the Bible Block Party, the legendary, the man himself, author and speaker, international beloved Avi Lipkin. How you doing, Avi?
Wonderful, wonderful. Great to be with you.
Good to be with you, my man. Now, I tell you what, around here in America, such a heaviness has lifted. A lot of people are optimistic about the future, but what's happening with Israel still rolls on, and we need to find out what's happened with our friends, namely you, Avi, in Israel. Give us the latest.
Okay, well, today it was finally divulged on the Israeli TV that President Biden, U.S. State Department are warning Israel, stop the war, immediately withdraw. Well, withdraw in 60 days, but the war has to end immediately. Otherwise, the United States will hand everything over to the United Nations, and then the United Nations will force Israel to stop the war and withdraw, and it will impose sanctions on Israel because of this war. And I think, remember I said to you before the show, I got some bad news.
Right.
And I think that if you ask me, I think that Biden is ready to start a civil war with President Trump, who I don't think will agree to the United Nations touching Israel. And so I think this is what we have been concerned about, with the Democrats stirring the pot. Israel cannot stop the war. Israel cannot withdraw.
Right.
And so I think that we're going to see some big time trouble between the Democrats and Republicans, because I think that the Republicans will say this is so outrageous that Israel have sanctions imposed on it. And, probably Biden will do what Obama did, which is not to oppose, any bad thing that would be decided against Israel at the United Nations.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
God is in control.
He is in control, but the Democrats are showing their side. They're the enemies of the people, the enemies of America, the dim leaders, the new communists. They're bought and paid for by our enemies. Is it no surprise? I mean, he's not competent to stand trial, that Biden, but boy, he can start World War III, which we know that he has no more control of what's happening in America than his own continents. This is Obama at work, and the regular stooges, the regular cronies at work. And the American people see right through it. That's why so many people from Hollywood are leaving. They're thinking they can escape the Epstein trials and the P. Diddy ramifications, and they won't. But the media has completely lost America. This last administration has completely lost the trust of America, as should be, and they're doing all they can to wreck the country even more before Trump takes office. But we do know that God is in control, and what I know of Netanyahu, he's not going to stand down. And it's becoming very clear. Shows like this is how the election was won. Legacy media showed itself to be unworthy of the American people. The Democrats wanted a civil war. They imported their army from multiple countries, located them to different cities, and it still backfired because people just don't want communism. Even third world people who are receiving all kinds of money from this government, they don't want that either. And it's just very, very interesting to see what's happening right now. Nobody is surprised by anything. There is no trust in the government, no trust in the media, anything they have to say. But non-traditional media, true journalism, independent media, like what we're doing right now, that has taken the day. So much so that Trump wants to grant press passes to podcasters, and let the mainstream, lamestream, communist-owned and Muslim-owned media sit in the back. We know what they're about, and they can't even gather 1 million viewers anymore. And right. So, in the midst of all that, but yeah, folks, I mean, there's an old saying, Avi, you find out who people are when you tell them no. Well, the Democrats were told no. And so what are they doing? They're showing they would rather destroy this country they swore they would serve than to let go of power. And the question is, what's going to happen? Putin is not a fan of the UN and NATO, from what I understand, and neither should Netanyahu be, and neither is Trump. So it's a very interesting time. I'm confident that God is in control, and I'm just curious to see those people who are united in their opposition to the same UN that gave absolute power to the CDC and the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum, all non-elected people trying to decide how you will live your life, folks. These are the same people who say they want only 500 million people on the earth. You going to trust them? You're showing that you don't. And they don't know what to do about it, Avi. But as always, I like to ask, what are the latest words from Netanyahu?
Well, Netanyahu is actually maintaining silence regarding the ceasefire. The cabinet is meeting right now. It started at 4 p.m. It's now 5:30 p.m. These are very, very heavy decisions. I have a feeling Netanyahu will have no choice but to deliver an address to the Israeli people tonight or the next day. If you ask me, I would say that an attack on Iran is the only solution. Destroy the nuclear project, destroy the gas and oil, destroy the economy, bring about regime change, then this whole problem with Lebanon becomes merely academic.
And on our side of the pond, taking out the ability to give Iran all the money they needed to conduct their proxy wars around the world and sponsor terror. On Biden's first day, he killed 50,000 jobs with the Keystone Pipeline stunt and put us right back into dependency to the world sponsor of terror. And folks, you might have been late to the dance, but at least you showed up. Any word from Netanyahu's opposition? I'm sure that there is. Although it probably falls mostly on deaf ears with the populace of Israel. But what are your Democrats saying?
Rachel just told me a few minutes ago that Benny Gantz, who is like one of the leaders of the opposition, is on his way to Washington.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll get the red carpet treatment there.
Yeah.
As do many terrorists around the world.
And our Supreme Court, which is communist socialist and cannot be replaced, they will not allow any Supreme Court judges to be from the right wing, only communist socialists. So the game is rigged against Netanyahu. And so we have been warned on the Israeli TV Channel 14 that we should not be surprised by midnight knocks on the doors and people disappearing, which includes me. So we have to, this is Soviet socialist behavior. So we are watching out for this.
Wow. Well, you know what? Trump's inauguration couldn't come soon enough.
Well, the Democrats want to take advantage of the next 60 days to overthrow Trump's inauguration.
You've enlightened me in regards to our military, and regardless of the blatant opposition from the Biden administration to Israel, that the military still does right by Israel. I'm praying that our military, and I'm confident they're not going to allow these Democrats to destroy America, that there's going to be a line that they cannot cross. And, what you're seeing, folks, is the overthrow of communism here in America. Right before they did their their next level. You know what they do around the world. And correct me if I'm wrong, Avi, because you're a Sovietologist, but they they destroy and overrun the system with careless spending and projects. They crash the economy with their deliberate actions. They blame capitalism. They install socialism. They declare a dictator. They disarm the dissenters, and then they massacre people. That's usually been the flow of activity with the communists, and that's, we've seen the Communist Manifesto being played out by both parties in America to a degree, folks. You know how much Bush and the Bushes had to do with helping out in that process. He was Republican. Oh well, hey folks, the swamp is the swamp. I mean, my gosh, Nixon, separated America into 10 parts. And the plan for a czar over each quadrant. That was Nixon's era, folks. It's been in the works for a long time, but I'm hopeful that just as Avi, you're seeing a new generation come up and seeing the old die off, that we will see more of that here. My goodness. So what news source gave the warning to Israelis to be aware of this Gestapo gulag type of threat?
Channel 14. You see, we have channels 11, 12, 13, and 15 are backed by the socialists,
right,
and pro-Muslim, pro-Islamic, and channel 14 is the only, I think, loyal station, and therefore many people on the left, all the other stations want to shut down 14.
Well, of course they do. Of course they
so
do.
We're going to be watching every move now.
I heard a quote recently in the media that the Democrats wanted a civil war, and what they got was a slave revolt.
Yeah.
People, the first time I've heard the term, the working class coalition, first time since the 80s, I've seen a coalition with conservative views on quite that scale of this last election. I would call it the new conservative party, because up until now, the Democrats have been able to pull the wools over the eyes of the very people they enslaved. And, but people are waking up. Isn't that amazing? My goodness. Are there any independent journalistic voices in Israel that you're aware of, or that you've connected with?
Well, I heard something new this week. In Israel, you've got journalists and you've got right-wing people.
Okay.
If you're a right-winger, you cannot be a journalist.
Interesting.
The socialists will never allow anyone who's a right-winger to become a journalist.
Interesting. Well, they're not going to be able to help the wave of people. Right. I've seen more people emboldened that usually just are very passive. That saying, there's people who watch things happen, there's people who make things happen, and there's people who say, what happened? Well, I'm very impressed. I'm very surprised, but I'm very impressed to see the people that are standing up and that are being bold and they're being fearless. I guess it dawned on them that their silence did not serve them. You might as well speak your mind. Silence didn't serve you. And go ahead.
One of the great things that you taught me, and you said on every show, was that besides the fact that I believe that the elections in 2020 were stolen by the Democrats,
right?
You said something. You said that had the Christians all come out to vote, Biden would never have been accepted.
Right. It's true. 34 million evangelicals didn't vote. 10 million were still unregistered.
This time they did.
This time they did. And you know what? It restored my hope. You and I have had many conversations. And
you played a major role. I'm telling you, you really inspired me. That the Christians have to be mobilized and not be apathetic, not just say, "Oh, everything will be okay." everything will not be okay unless the Christians wake up. As they say, praise the Lord, pass the ammunition.
Well, and that's how we've got to be. And I appreciate your gracious statements. I'm just one of sand on the seashore that have been trying to get people to show up. Dan Rogers in the Panhandle, Texas, is an amazing man, going to great expense, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, to send out information to get people to show up and vote. And he's an elected official, but he's non-paid. He's volunteer, a rancher, a businessman, and I just think the world of him. But a lot of people made a difference. You made a difference, Avi, because as we've talked about, you have repeated that data about the evangelicals not voting, not showing up. Even the 10 million that were still yet to be registered before the election. But I'm really proud of you, America. You showed up and you voted early. That was the key. So when the electronic votes, were the only country dumb enough to still use voting machines in that way. When it was sent to Spain, there wasn't a whole lot. Now there were still things done. Gavin Newsom outlawed voter ID, and even with Gavin Newsom Pelosi's nephew, even with Gavin Newsom outlawing voter ID, we still had a good majority of California voting red. They've had enough. Government funded crack pipes. That's the Democrats for you, folks. People defecating on the streets. Oh my gosh. As far as I know, that hasn't been happening in Israel. As far as I know.
No, Israel is very strict about that.
Good.
We have very
civilized
good voter registration and voting rules. We have paper ballots.
Right.
Indeed, to that extent, the situation in Israel still is okay. But remember what Stalin said. Stalin said it's not important who votes; it's important who counts the votes.
Who counts the votes?
Right.
Yeah, and it was hard. People didn't realize they were being fed a lie that when you vote early, it shows in real time. Oh, the internet's down. Oh, there's a water leak. Oh, yeah, let's pull out the suitcases with all the. Oh, well, there's no cheating. You've got to be a fool to not see the evidence now and know that it was a stolen election. And but that's okay. That's on you, folks. If you want to believe that, go along. It's like believing in the Easter Bunny, right? Evil people will do anything they can to stay in power. And if it looks like they can't stay in power, they will try to destroy. That's why I like to refer back to the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon knew the true heart of a mother. It wasn't the woman that said, okay, I want the child to live. You can take him. It was the woman that said, yes, cut the child in half. And Solomon knew immediately that wicked spirit that would rather see a child cut in half than to admit she was lying or trying to steal the child. Solomon knew that was not the heart of the mother. Well, a true heart of an American, a true heart of a patriot, does not want to see America destroyed as they're stomping out of the house. They're not Americans. And the same goes for those in Israel. They are not true Israelis if they want to see the destruction of Israel and communist rule that I believe is slowly losing its grasp, in the world. It's interesting to see this young generation that is rebelling against Marxism. Don't believe your media, folks, for anything. Those blue-haired true Nazis carrying real. Have you noticed, Javi, the ones who really carry the Nazi flags? They're not patriots for America. They're not conservatives. You know what I mean? And man. Have you seen more paid by the U.S., by the Biden administration demonstrations in Israel as of late or not?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know exactly if it's paid by the United States or you have, interestingly, the socialists in Israel are extremely wealthy. The socialists control all the major corporations, all the major money people in Israel are socialists. and they've been spending tremendous amounts on street riots. And you know, the 70% of the population, which is right wing, they stay at home and they don't want to, you know, get into demonstrations. We want peace and quiet. But again, the situation in Israel, if there is an attempted coup d'etat against Netanyahu, or if they come to arrest him in the middle of the night with handcuffs and everything, you're going to see 70% of the population in the streets. And it's going to be very not good for the socialists. But I think the time has come for Israel to realize its true position politically. And the true position is that the majority should be controlling, and not a bunch of communists and socialists. And again, don't forget, the Democrats are also very rich.
Oh yeah. Well, they're paid very well by our enemies. Yeah.
The working class in America voted Republican. The working class in Israel votes Likud.
Wow.
There's such striking similarities between
Right.
what's happening in the U.S. and happening in Israel.
Wow. Well, and it doesn't surprise me, you know, it doesn't surprise me. But our enemies pay well. Of course, lobbyists, you know, you got big pharma, lobbyists get. How does a congressperson have 4 mansions? How does AOC, who, by the way, is an actress, look up the documentary, The Young Democrats? They had auditions. She's an actress, a bartender. She goes from not being able to pay her bills to being a multimillionaire. How does that happen? It happens with corruption. It happens with lobbyists. It happens with people with unlimited amounts of money trying to corrupt politicians. That's why, man, it's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. Hats off to anyone who's willing to step in. I have to tell you also,
a very famous guy in Israel, or shall I say infamous, is Aharon Barak. He was the head of the Supreme Court. He has 18 apartments, 18 homes in Israel.
18 homes. Wow. What do you do with 18 homes? Why does he need 18 homes?
Well, I don't know. The question is, where did he get the funding for that?
Oh, there's no secret there. Yeah. In America here, it's legal for lobbyists to bribe politicians.
And here, it's not legal, but these people are untouchable.
Yeah, they are.
The whole system in Israel is based on, if you're right wing, you can be thrown in jail without a lawyer. If you're left wing, you can do whatever the hell you want to do and get away with it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of sounds like the song being sung here in the last 4 years, you know. Well, I tell you what, I'm happy that America has spoken. I pray that the people of Israel are encouraged in their boldness. And of course, you can't beat a leader like Netanyahu. You know, I'm amazed that he has remained in power, and I'm glad that he has. I believe he's had divine protection.
Absolutely. Pray for Netanyahu, pray for Trump. They're both in the exact same position.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know, it was interesting. You know, you see the lying media. Years not too long ago, they try to roll out bird flu. People are like, blow it out your nose. Don't even go there. We're not going to play it. We're not going to wear a mask. Your ignorant Democrat cities can do that, but we're not going to play that junk. You know, we're not going to shut down. We know what you tried to do. So that didn't work. And then after Trump won the election, there's aliens in the seas. Well, people are like, wow, aliens in the seas. And they're back to, well, Trump's, hey, they don't trust you, media. And you've blown it. You've blown it. You've been exposed for the liars you are. And those who own you, our enemies own the mainstream media. No one's paying attention to them. Hey, if you think Fox is on your side, you better think again, folks. They're owned by the same people. They just see more hope and money on the side that won. Don't forget, Fox called the election early for Biden when it was stolen. Fox, you're a part of it, and we're watching you. We don't trust you either. But it's people like Avi that's willing to speak the truth from where he's at. That we appreciate, we admire. Avi, I dare say that we've gotten more accurate news from you, boots on the ground, than we ever will from the mainstream corrupted media. that has lost America. You know, it's interesting. I don't see a lot of Hollywood stars they're saying they left because of Trump. They're not leaving because of Trump. They're leaving because of P. Diddy and Epstein. They were clients of Epstein. You won't find someone who's leaving who's not on that list, folks, so far. And but I haven't heard any of these Hollywood stars saying they're moving to Israel.
Don't forget Ehud Barak, our former prime minister, visited Epstein's island 14 times.
Ah.
I wonder why his wife divorced him.
I wonder why. Maybe the same reason why Bill Gates' wife divorced him.
Yeah.
But that won't get you off, sister. Okay. You know, there's an old Johnny Cash song he redid. You can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Yeah. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Justice is coming, folks. And Americans, thank the Lord, they did not allow themselves to be disarmed. You know, I don't think that they would, because I understand from various sources the plan was Obama, then Hillary, then full-blown communism. That was the plan. That's why they couldn't let it go when something miraculous happened and the vote of Americans was actually counted. And but thank you, Lord. But we pray for the strength and the peace of Israel and for the Lipkin family. You know, Aaron, he's good at what he does, and he's also recognized by the military as well. We're praying for him. We trust that he's doing well.
Yes, amen. And getting ready for the wedding on Monday.
Yes, big wedding. And Avi is not taking a jet. We always get the joke before we go on. And, you know, we know our subject matter is very serious. But, Avi, you and I have been speaking this way for years. We've been warning the people.
Right.
And guess what, folks? Turned out to be right, didn't we? It wasn't a conspiracy after all, was it? You know, the spirit of the Father is the spirit of wisdom. And I know that spirit lives in you, Avi. And people, I can't wait. Well, I'm honored. I'm just a grunt in the mud, and I'm just doing my part, and I'm happy that way. I don't care what anybody thinks, and I don't need anybody's money. I'm not for sale. You're not for sale. You know, we do what we do at risk, great risk, but it's worth it because we love our country and we love our God. Avi, I was telling someone the other day that I'm looking forward to you coming back to the States. How soon can we expect you back?
We're trying to boil things down to coming back to the States on January the 10th.
All right.
My birthday is January the 9th. So they won't let me leave until we have a party here. Then the next day I go.
Well, that's understandable. I would do the same thing. Well, Avi, we love you. We're praying for the peace of Israel, for your safety. And folks, God save Israel. God save America. God will save Israel. Don't you worry about that. God save America. God bless Israel. And be blessed, Avi. We love you. We can't wait to see you until next time.